Many agents put listings up and hope for the best. Well, today we are going to give you a strategy that starts pre-listing and goes for 3 weeks, and it tells you exactly what to look for, what data points to grab, and what conversations to have with the seller along the way so that you get the home sold for the highest price at the quickest turnaround time and with the least objections. Stay tuned. Okay, Tim, 3 weeks.
3 weeks what, DJ?
So 3 weeks is the median time a home sold that sold in 2024 spent on the market. So this is per the NAR 2024 home profile. Half of them sold faster, half of them sat longer.
Okay, so 3 weeks sounds fine, guess?
It can sound fine, but until it isn't fine. So I'll explain that. So the half that sat longer is the half that lost money. So every listing ends up in either one half or the other.
All right, so you got my attention, DJ.
Great. Well, I'm DJ Paris. That's Tim Littleton. Today, we are going to show you the curve that decides which half and the system that puts your listings on the right side of it.
Okay, so DJ, walk me through this. 3 week median. What's the curve?
Yeah, so NAR's 2024 profile of home buyers and sellers gave us this data. And it basically says this, oh, by the way, this is consumer reported data. This isn't realtors. This is actual home buyers and sellers. So this particular part of it was recent sellers, and they were asked how long their home sat between the listing and the actual contract. The median came back at 3 weeks.
Okay, so half sold in less than 3 weeks.
Correct. So half sold in less than 3 weeks. And the median sale to list price ratio came back at 100%. So basically, sellers got their asking price.
Wow, so 100% of the list. Yeah. That's a great year for sellers.
It is. And that's the headline. But NAR buried something else in the same report that we found, which was they also asked sellers, or they also asked how many sellers had to cut their asking price before the home sold. That was actually 24%.
So almost 1 in 4.
Right. So 1 in 4 sellers had to drop their price, and every one of those in that half sat longer than 3 weeks. So by definition, so you don't cut the price on week 1, you cut it when the calls stop.
Okay. So 3 weeks is the wall.
Yes. 3 weeks is the wall, and your sellers, they don't know about the wall. They just think the market decides their timeline. So the truth is the first 2 weeks decide it. The seller who is still listing in week 4 is in a different market than they were in week 1.
Yes, a worse one.
Yeah, much worse one. So because the buyers who would have already paid asking price, they've moved on. They saw your listing, they passed, they are tracking 3 other homes. The buyers who are still looking at your house in week 6 are different buyers, lower offers, more contingencies, inspection demands that probably wouldn't fly in week 1.
Okay, so the longer it sits, the worse the offers get.
Correct. The longer it sits, the worse the offers get. And the offers come from buyers who already know that it's been sitting, right? They start at 95% of ask. They get to 93. By the time you cut price, the listing's stale and you're negotiating with a buyer who smells blood.
Yeah, that's brutal.
It is. And almost every agent thinks the fix is lower the price faster, but it's actually not.
Okay, DJ. So what's the actual fix?
Yeah. So before we get to the fix, I want to explain why this is happening to so many listings. Why is 1 in 4 sellers cutting price?
Is it bad pricing out of the gate?
Yeah, that's reason number 1. Seller anchored on his estimate from January or a neighbor's sales price from last summer or what their mother-in-law thinks the home is worth. And the agent just didn't push back hard enough.
Yeah, they wanted the listing.
Yeah, they did. And so they took the seller's number and they said, let's give it a try. And the first weekend tells the truth.
What's reason number 2, DJ?
So reason number 2, I call it the no launch. So the listing goes live, let's just say Tuesday at 3 p.m. with 1 MLS photo and a generic description. There's no Friday teaser, no Saturday open house, no Sunday social push. The listing exists. It's just not launched. And there's a difference.
Yeah, a listing exists, but a launch happens.
Yeah, I've learned this over the years talking to top 1% producers. They create launches. And so we can talk about that later, but absolutely, that is a huge thing. And reason number three, which is they have no read of day 7. So agents wait 2, 3, 4 weeks before they have the price conversation because it's uncomfortable. By then, the listing's already on the wrong side of this curve, right? The data's been screaming at them since day 7 and they missed it.
Yeah, so day 7.
Yeah, day 7 is kind of when you should know everything, right? Showings count, online views, saves on Zillow, whether your open house brought in 5 people or 50. Those numbers tell you what week 3 will look like before week 2 even starts.
So we've got bad pricing, no launch, no day 7 read.
Right. And this is also fixable, by the way. But here's what I want people to do right now. Just think of one listing. One, either it's currently on the market or maybe you've got one coming up in the next 30 days. Don't say it out loud. Just hold the address in your head.
Okay, I've got mine.
Okay. So we're going to hold on to that. We're going to do something with that listing before we sign off today specifically.
Okay, 3 problems. Bad pricing, no launch, no day 7 read. Tell me you got a system that fixes all 3 of these.
I do. And the agents running it treat it like treat every listing, number one, like a launch. So we'll call it the 3 weekend system. I didn't have a better name for it. So that's what we'll call it.
Okay, 3 weekends. Give it to us.
Yeah, so this really matches the NAR median exactly. So every listing gets them. Most listings die in the third one. This system gives every listing a job for every weekend. Okay,
so can you walk us through it?
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but I'll make it simple. So weekend 1 is called the launch. Now, most agents, a lot of agents don't do this, but this is like the most important thing. So you're going to have 70. Okay, so basically you have 72 hours of the entire listing. Okay, so I'm going to explain the 72 hours. So the listing goes live Thursday night. So it hits buyer feeds on Friday morning. Saturday is the open house. Sunday is the social push. By Monday morning, you have offers, or you have or you at least have signal.
So what's a signal?
Yeah, signal just means things you can measure. So saves on Zillow, showings booked, open house body count, online private views, buyer agent messages. Each number tells you something specific. 20 saves but 0 showings mean the photos work, but the price doesn't. 40 showings but 0 offers. That means the price works, but the house has a problem.
Yeah. So weekend 1 isn't about, getting an offer. It's about collecting the data.
Yeah, weekend 1 is about collecting data, and offers are a bonus. Data is the requirement. Now let's move to weekend 2.
So give us weekend number 2, DJ.
Yeah. So I call this the verdict. By the end of weekend 1, you know which of the 3 lanes you're in. Photos failed, price failed, house has a problem. Those are typically the 3 lanes if you don't have an offer. Weekend 2 is when you act on one of those 3. So not weekend 3, not week 4, weekend 2.
So DJ, what does act look like?
Right. So here are the 3 moves. If your photos failed, you reshoot. Easy fix. New photographer in the door Monday, new photos live Wednesday. If the price failed, you have the conversation with the seller before that Saturday. A small reduction at the second weekend has a different buyer pool than a big one in week 5. If that makes sense. So the buyers who passed on the original price get a second look. If the house has a problem, you fix what you can. The cracked driveway, the dated lighting, the smell, you're not staging again. You're just fixing what buyers are reacting to.
Okay, so DJ, weekend number 2 is when you adjust before you're in a panic.
Yeah, that's right. So the listing you've been holding in your head that we've been asking our audience here, almost time, so stay with us. Now let's talk about weekend 3.
All right, give us weekend number 3, DJ.
Okay. Yeah, I call it the reset. So if you're heading into the 3rd weekend without a contract, you don't just chip the price. You relist it as if it's day 1. New main photo, new headline, new broker remarks, maybe a new open house format, Twilight or brokers only. You tell the buyer pool that the listing is fresh because, well, structurally it is. Most agents in week 3 just let the listing keep sitting and hope.
Yeah, and we all know hope's not a system.
Right. And so it's not. And 3 weekends. So 3 jobs: launch, verdict, reset. The discipline most agents skip is you schedule the verdict and the reset before the listing goes live. So Saturday weekend 2 is on your calendar before Friday weekend 1.
Okay, so I want to push back on something, DJ, because we're describing this like every market behaves the same. But I know we work with agents in, cooling markets where the homes are just sitting 8, 9 weeks. 3 week median doesn't describe their reality right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good pushback. And here's the answer. So the median moves with the market. So if a cooling market, it might be 5 weeks instead of 3. The system still works. You just move the weekends. So the wall still exists. The buyers who showed up at your first weekend are still the buyers most likely to pay full price. And that doesn't change. The clock changes. The principle doesn't.
Okay, so we have a quick one for the comments. If you've got a listing past 3 weeks right now, drop the day count, just the number. We want to see how many of the agents out there are sitting in the wrong half of the curve.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, and here's the objection I know people are sitting with. They're thinking, I've tried launching listings before. 3 weekends, big push, the whole thing. The seller refused to budge on the price and the listing sat anyway. That system didn't work.
Well, that's the real objection. And the answer is the system doesn't work if you skip the launch prep.
So what is the launch prep?
Yeah. So the week before weekend 1, 2 things have to happen before the listing goes live. 1, you walk the seller through what each weekend will tell you. Saturday weekend 1, if we don't see at least 8 showings, here's our move. Saturday weekend 2, if we don't have an offer, here's our move. You're getting to you're getting the verdict pre-approval while the seller's still excited about you.
So when weekend 2 hits, you're not negotiating with the seller, you're executing the plan they've already agreed to.
Correct. That's exactly right. So the second thing you do is you build the buyer queue. 5 buyer agents you alert on Tuesday, 3 social posts scheduled for launch weekend, 1 broker email teed up for Friday. You don't launch and hope the algorithm shows up. You launch in a queue that you built.
So I've got a quick one. If you've taken a listing in the last 60 days, tell us what your local median looks like right now. Okay. Hot, cooling, frozen. We want to see who's running which kind of market right now.
Yeah, that's great.
So let's do the math on this, DJ.
Okay, so let's take a $500,000 listing. Median sale to list ratio in 2012 was 100%. So the listing that sells in weekend 1 nets 500 grand. The listing that drifts past 3 weeks and ends up in the price cut bucket sale gets 95% on average to list.
Wow.
That's 25 grand off of the seller's check.
So $25,000 off a single listing.
Right, 25,000 in seller equity, and for you as the listing agent on a 3% split, that's $750 off your check. And on every listing where you let the curve win, do 10 of those a year, you're walking away from $7,500. Do 20, 15,000, per year.
Yes, and this is just for missing day 7.
Right. It's just for missing day 7. It's not even the worst loss. The worst loss is your seller's next home transaction. They were going to use you again on the buy side, but they were going to refer you. The price cut killed both. You didn't lose 750. You lost a relationship.
Yes, and that listing that sits cost you more than half the listing itself.
Yeah. And here's what I want everyone to do, because we just gave you a lot of stuff, and I know this can be a bit overwhelming. So that listing that you have in your mind, or your next listing, you're going to do 3 moves. 1, you're going to open your calendar, and if it's an existing listing, you're going to pull up its day count. Past day 14 with no contact, you've already failed weekend 2. Next, you're going to text your seller this: saw something in the data, want 15 minutes tomorrow. 3, block Saturday for the verdict conversation, whether you need it or not.
So 3 moves, 15 minutes.
Yeah, a listing agent hopes the right buyer shows up, but a listing manager checks the day count, sends the text, and blocks Saturday. You just want to become the listing manager, not the listing agent.
Okay, so go open it.
Yeah, weekend 1 sells the house. Every other weekend pays the price. We will see you next week. And also just a quick thank you to my colleague Tim for doing these every week. We really like to do them. And for anyone who is a local Chicago agent, if you are not getting information like this from your brokerage, or you want just better support or more options for your growth, please let us know at Kale Realty. We'd always love to chat with you, and just reach out to either Tim or myself. We can tell you more about what we offer and see if we'd be a good fit. But we will see everybody on the next episode. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.